Hey guys, and I'm here for you this week with my ninth and probably last installment of the WordPress theme development series. Now, in this series, you've seen me go through the whole process of developing my a theme for my personal site. You've seen really every nook and cranny of what I've been doing. By the time I've finished, I'll have shot well over 9 hours of complete videos in this series. In just in a few days. So it's certainly been a long process, but it's been a good one as well. The last part of pushing a site live, or in this case a WordPress theme live, is often the moving it from being local to your hard drive onto your website. Now, you may know that the theme I'm using currently on my website is a third-party theme I didn't develop, so I'm excited to get this in and get my control back of my own theme. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna push our theme files from our local install of WordPress into there. So the first thing I want to clarify is that we should be dealing with exactly the same content and exactly the same styles when we push it live as we have been now, because it's when I decided to develop it locally, I created a carbon copy of my WordPress install and did it. So we're not going to be pushing any of the content. We're just going to be pushing the theme up, because that's what this series is about. WordPress theming series, and then we're going to finish off a few things that can only be done when the site is live, and you'll see what I mean by that when I do them. But let's just dive in and not waste any more time. So this is where we landed last time. Really nice theme. A quick note is that in the previous videos, you may remember I struggled, and we're gonna start locally first, just so I can show you this. I struggled to work out how to refer to the right file. I wanted my logo in the header.php file, and I struggled to remember what the tag was for placing in your template URL, because remember I was saying WordPress pages, they all take this header file, so depending on what page you're on, the route to this template URL is going to be different. So to get to wherever your theme is, you do plug in for template URL. I was a bit confused about that. So just to clarify, that's why this logo is now here and wasn't in the last tutorial. So this isn't just going to be about pushing it live. Obviously, that's going to be the main thing, but there are some other things that can only be done when we push it live. So that's really what we're gonna focus on. So let's just get started. I'm on my text editor here, which is Coda, which is also an FTP client, and I'm logged into my server, ready to upload it in my themes directory. You can see I have a few themes already, but we're going to upload the awesome theme. Remember when we started this series, that's what we called it. So we're going to upload the whole folder of the awesome theme from our local install of WordPress into our themes folder on our server. And remember, we're not transferring any content. We're just transferring the actual theme, because this is a theming series. But like I said, it's not just about pushing it live, because there are some other things that have to go on behind the scenes. So we're now going to go into our dashboard for our WordPress installation themes. And we should see the word awesome, because that's what we called our template. So if we're just going to preview that. And that was what it looked like before, so we're just going to activate it. Slight difference here because there's different search criteria, but that's basically what we had. So we're just going to hit activate. Now you're going to say, where does all this different stuff come in? Well, for one thing, we now have our correct author details in, because that was just a test site, so it was showing up test, and everything's shown up pretty much identical, which is a good thing. If we go to the same post, with the exception of 2 extra pages added by the test account, it's pretty much the same thing. That's what we're expecting, and it is indeed a good thing. In fact, if we go to the same post, the HTML5 rundown post, we see it's the same content, which is a good thing. We've got a bookmark it option here, but that's just a plugin I've got installed in WordPress. So that's why that's there. So in terms of actually doing it, we have pushed it live, but there are some other things that I want to do here. For instance, we're gonna set up our Google custom search, and this is gonna get into some other cool things. So we're gonna go to our remote file now. We're not gonna worry about our local copy anymore. We're gonna focus on our remote file, and depending on how this goes, how many things we get done, we may or may not need to do another installment of this just to tidy things up. So we're gonna start off in our we're going to go to the theme I'm using at the moment, which is Blue Mint. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy the code from the sidebar.php file into our sidebar.php file. So let's show what we mean there. Might be in the search bar. So yes, it is. It's here. Here is the, and I'm gonna have to cover that up. Here is the the form that I got from Google. That's a specific Google custom search, specifically tailored towards my my website. But there's a couple of things we're going to have to change in order to cater for that. So we're just going to put it in. And in our case, on this theme, we're actually going to put it on there in the head section. So I've just had a mental block there. We're going to go to the header.php file. And where at the moment we've got WP nav menu, that's what's generating this bar here. But that's just a div with an ID of menu. But we also need room for the search form. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an extra div. And this again stuff that's specific to my use case for pushing it live. So we're going to add a div. We're going to add 3 additional divs actually. So it's going to be div ID main bar. Semantically, that's not a good thing to call it, but it's gonna contain so much different stuff that I can't think of a better way to describe it. And we're gonna leave that in on its own because we know that generates a div for its own, so that's got its own section. But what we are going to do is then paste in all the code for our search form. And that is going to contain everything that we need for this search form. So we're just going to sort all that markup out. Shift it all to the right a few spaces. So we're also going to shift these to the right a few spaces. One more. And that's okay. So we've now got a div for that to go in. So if we save that and refresh, the form should now be in our menu bar, but there's going to be problems with it. so it's in our bar, but you see there's extra bits at the bottom. That's because the only thing that the styling for this bar is attached to is the menu div. So we need to attach it to the new div that now encapsulates both the menu and the search form. So let's get after that. So anything that references just the menu, like this bit here, we need to tell that to just target the we need to target the top bar instead of the menu. The rest of it's just about the links, so we don't need to worry about that. So, an element with an ID of main bar. That's not all we're going to need to do, but it'll give us a start. So now the styles are attached to the bar instead of just a nav element. So
it's 19 hours.
We should clarify this one and say actually no, we don't need that. Sorry for this kind of haphazard approach. The next thing we're going to do is float the elements. So, like we did with the navigation, like we did with the general layout, the part of the we're gonna tell it how big the navigation bar is in total, and we're gonna give part of it to the navigation and part of it to the search form. So for this to work, it sounds a bit silly, but just bear with me here. We need to tell it the total how big this thing is. We need to give it a static width. So just humor me with this for a second. You'll understand why in a minute. Just need to say width. Uh, 100%. And just in case you're confused, that's going to be 100% of its parent element, and its parent element is, if you look at the top bar, so the parent element of the main bar is the wrapper, and the width of the wrapper is that width. It sounds a bit stupid though. We need to set 100% because they're already 100% by default, but we need to actually say that. So just launched iMovie accidentally. Sorry about that, guys. We need to say within a div with an ID of menu. We only need to do this for the header, not for the footer, because we're not going to repeat the search in the footer. So for anything with an ID of main bar, we're going to, within that, anything with an ID of menu, is going to be floated to the left. And we need, like with that, we need to tell it how much width we want it to occupy. So we're just going to say, for now we might change this, width is 70%. And similarly, we need to find a way of targeting the search button. So I didn't think I was going to do this, but I am actually. I'm going to go back into the header file, and I'm just going to wrap and go view shift right, and I'm then going to put this form into another div. Because forms are weird with width. It's just going to be a div with an ID of search button. So within this ID of search button, we're just going to drop all that markup get our indenting going right here. So the point is, if we look, we've now got ourselves two divs here, and so ways to target them each uniquely, so we can set them all with a unique width and a unique height and things like that. So let's get after that. We're going to say we've already set our width for the navigation, but we're going to extend that and say anything within menu bar that has ID of search form is going to be floated to the right. And it's going to occupy the rest of the space. And I accidentally put 700% there instead of 70. So we're going to put 30 and then take off 100. No, that's why you have to tell it to know it's on 100% whenever you're using floats. And then what we're going to do is refresh that, and everything's going to go haywire. And if you're someone who writes a lot of code, you'll understand why. This is too short, and it's kind of a weird size. There's a bit missing off the end. That's because the float isn't cleared, and you always need to clear floats. So what I often do is look at the next thing that's outside of the float, because you need to clear floats on something that's outside of the float. So I've just thought that's not outside of the float because that's got its own float to sort out the two columns. What we're going to do, and I would never usually recommend doing this, we're just going to create this really isn't a good way, but it's the way with the most browser support, and it's the easiest way. So it's my theme, and that's how we're going to do it. We're going to create an element that's outside of the float before the next float. So we're going to do that by coming back to our header and just creating something after the search form, but before the main content. We're just going to create a paragraph element with a style of clear both. And just to clarify, the reason for me using clear both was that there's two floats at work, a left and a right float, so therefore you need to clear floats. The reason why I'm doing inline styling is because at least people will know what the meaning of that thing is. It's very unsemantic, but it's better than just putting an empty paragraph tag, at least in my opinion. And just for the benefit of browsers, when I just put a non-breaking space there, which is basically just an empty space, but browsers like to have it, so we're gonna do that, save and refresh. and we should be back to normal. So if we refresh, I have to admit that wasn't quite the result I was hoping for, but we've still got our we've still got our we've got our left and right. Basically, the problem is that because we've set up some stuff for paragraph elements, it's creating extra space here for it. So what we're going to do to combat that is we're not going to use a paragraph element. We're actually going to use a div because that has no predefined style. I'm a little bit puzzled as to why there's such a big gap there, but never mind, we'll sort that out later. Of more immediate concern is this bar and how the navigation and indeed the search form is kind of jumping out of it. I'm going to try giving the search form more room and see if that helps. Yeah, so about, I'd say 35-34%, maybe even 33 seems to work okay. So it's important to remember when you're using this technique that because we've added free to the thing that's floated to the right, we need to take off free to the thing that's floated to the left, because remember it always has to equal 100% like anything does. So I'm just going to put 34. So I've added 4 here, so therefore I need to take 4 off there, so that's going to be 66. And we're back to... We appear to be back to square one. I'm sorry guys, I don't understand why this isn't working. Let's not give up though. Let's troubleshoot it a bit more. Well, for one thing, we need to make sure nav element always just displays as block. I've got a feeling this can be redundant, but I'm gonna put it in just a minute. just to make sure, because we need to make sure it happens. And we need to do the same for the search form element. And I'm just gonna give this a little bit more height. Maybe we'll try 30 pixels and see how that looks. We're still managing to break out of that. I really don't understand what's going on here. We'll work it out though. We're just gonna try taking out this static height and see if it. We're also gonna set the width to auto and the height to auto, and just see if that helps fix any of the issues. Okay, so there goes another of my famous cuts that this series is unfortunately becoming famous for. I left last time, as you guys will have heard a few seconds ago, saying that I was going to I wasn't going to start again until I fix the float issue. I can't fix the float issue. I'm gonna have to do some more research on it. It's really odd. Clearing the float would normally do it justice, but so we're gonna focus on some different things that we need to focus on. One being that if I now Google something, and this is my site search, so if I search for HTML, for instance, it's gonna the search results are gonna look kind of bad, and it's really squashed up. Plus the fact we've now got a search results page, a link to the search results page, but we don't need that, because if we just go down its own, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help us in any way. So we're gonna hide that from the visitors. How are we gonna do that? Well, if we look, in the back end of WordPress, and I've lost if I can get back to the back end. There we go. So if we, as I was saying, if we look in the back end of WordPress, the search results page is a page. So to exclude that from display, we need to figure out the ID of that page, and the easiest way to do that is hover over a link and look at the URL it's going to. So if we look at that, it's linked to it says post 1648. If you can see that 1648. So that's what we need to tell it to exclude. So we need to say we'll start off doing it with our head, but then we need to duplicate it in our footer. So if go to the header and we look at our navigation here, we need to pass it another parameter which we can do by doing and percent. And exclude equals 1648, because I need the page to be there in WordPress, but I want people to get to it after they've been to my site. So if we look at that now, I'm hoping we've not got rid of that link. One thing I do know we need to sort out, and this gets into a cool, generally useful to the masses access part of WordPress theming, not just useful for this project, but useful in general, and that is template customization. Now, if we look at my search results page, if I just do that same search for HTML again, we can see that it goes to the search results page, and it fits, but it's a bit squashed. You don't get the full Google experience, and also you don't get the ads. And we don't really need the sidebar for the search results, because this bit is about the blog. So what if we could take out the sidebar just on the search results page and do it there? Well, we can, and there's two ways we could approach this. This is a page in WordPress, so it's getting generated by the page dot .php file, this file here, and that includes the get sidebar function. So like I said, there's two ways we could approach this. We could create a custom template, because WordPress allows custom templates for files in WordPress, or we could use a really cool technology called custom fields that would mean we just have to do a bit of logic to figure out whether we need the sidebar or not, but we wouldn't have to do that. So basically all you need to know is that if we were creating a page template, if there's a lot of changes and you've decided that's where you want to go, what you would do is at the top of your file you'd put template name just in the same style as we did in a CSS file. Template name, and then whatever you want the name of your template to be, and then it's gonna show up if you go into your pages, and then where is it? Pages, and then select the page. In the editing screen, there's an option to select the page parent, and also it's escaping me now, but somewhere there's also an option to select a page template, which, like I say, is escaping me now. Maybe it's because I've got no custom templates on this site, but how this is gonna work is what we're gonna do is use a technology called custom fields, and I'm just gonna show you how it works. Now, get after it. We're gonna need the WordPress documentation again because it's a while since I've used this technology, and it gets quite specific. Hang on a minute, I've even lost my ability to change custom fields. I'm just going to go into my screen options for WordPress, and yeah, the options for custom fields has indeed been hidden, so that's why I couldn't edit it. So we now might also get the option to edit page templates. And we don't. But somewhere there is an option to edit page templates. Anyway, we're not going to do that. We're going to create a custom field, and the idea of a custom field is you add it to individual posts, and then when the template runs, you only have one template, but it checks to see if you have custom fields, and based on what the value of that custom field is, you can do different stuff. So I'm just going to show you what we made. You can see I've got 2 custom fields already set up, but we're going to add a new one, and we're just going to call it no sidebar, because that's going to be essentially what we're getting rid of. I'm going to set the value equal to true, and it's just like using a key value pair in anything. This is the key, but they call it the name. All got a value, so we're going to add that. And then it gives you some advice down here, so we're going to open that because we're going to be needing it. I'm a bit rusty on this, it's ages since I've done it. So a lot of what we're going to be doing is using this get custom meta function and testing based on whether something's true. So we're going to say in our file where we go to edit sidebar, in our page file, we're just going to add a little bit of logic. I'm going to say PHP if, and the condition is going to be whatever the function is called. Get post. We can use get post custom values actually. So the condition is going to be if the page that we're looking at has a PHP including we don't need the post ID because we're going to do it just based on keys. But our key was no sidebar, so here we're just going to put as a parameter and actually we're better off going back in there and just putting a dash there instead of a space. We can update that. So if this custom value for the key no sidebar and we're going to use is not equal because it's much more likely to not be equal than it is to be equal, and we're not going to need these because we're just going to use a straight PHP function. So if the person hasn't, we're going to say does not equal true, then we want you to get this subbar. So to run this past you again, on the one, we're gonna check if there is a custom field that's called no sidebar, which there is because we've added it to our post. If there is that on the page that's being loaded and it's not equal to true, because that's what we're testing for, because it's more likely to be false than it is to be true. So if it's not equal to true, then we need to get the sidebar, because if it is equal to true, obviously they don't want the sidebar. And I'm just confusing myself here. If that happens, we need a way to say that we need the body to be working. So if we, I'm not sure how we're going to do this actually. We might have to use a custom. Okay, so I'm back and I've been able to figure out what's causing most of the major issues we've been having. I want to mention first that I haven't figured out a way to remove the sidebar just using custom fields. So we're gonna abandon that for now. And if I decide to do a follow-up video, I'll address that then. The main thing we're gonna address in this last part is the fact that there's all this big gap here and there, and the nav bar's really tiny. The search form isn't fitting in. All that stuff. By and large, I've been able to finally fix most of that stuff. So that's all just CSS, and I haven't written any the CSS. It's all been in the. I've been doing it all in Firebug. So this is exactly the same CSS that we're left with. So the problem is that you can see how there's I've lost it now. Well, what we need to do is we need to apply padding to the main navigation bar, because previously that was applied to the just the navigation when it was just a navigation, but we need it back. So, but we need to apply it to the menu bar itself. So we're just going to say padding all the way around is going to be 5 pixels. Well, we're also going to say we'll just save that for now and show the results of that. So everything fit. The navigation fits into our sidebar again. As for how we get the search form to fit back in, what we need to do is target the submit button, and I believe that we can take this line out where we're trying to inherit the values, because that doesn't work and won't help us very much. What we do need to do though is access the search form. And tell it the form itself the width is going to be 100% of its parent div, and just to get a layer more specific, if we go and look at the we go and look at the code for the search form again, which I believe is in the header.php file. We see that the we need to target the submit button individually. So the way we're going to do that is just by giving it an ID. Search button, and then using that we're going to take that back to our make sure that's saved, and use that in our CSS file to target that button. Let's go back to our style sheet.
It's 21 hours.
And just target the button. And go display inline save that out, refresh over here, and it's the buttons next to the search form. As for what we need to do to push it back into that area, we just need to make sure it takes on all the characteristics of its parent div. So if we look at the lay of the land here, we see we've got our div ID menu, but then our div ID search our search form is outside of that. So to pull it back inside, we need to make sure it's got the same properties as the other one. So if we just look at our div ID search form, it floats right, and we're actually gonna take out that, and we're gonna get the form itself. It's gonna be set to display inline, and that should push us back up. If we want to do it a really crude way, we can do margin top it's going to be minus and we're just going to then we can actually pull it back in there. There's also a problem with this clearing div here. It we ought to actually have this in our style sheet, because as you're gonna see as we go on, there's gonna be multiple occurrences of this. So instead of an inline element, we're gonna come up here into our utility classes. So we're gonna say anything with a div class of clear. It's gonna clear both. So we're not gonna have any problem with CSS specificity, because now that's in the actual file itself. So now we can just go back to our crude element here and make it just a little bit better by taking out that inline style and just turning it into a class clear. Not ideal, because we've still got an unsemantic div there, but it's a hell of a lot better. So that's in there. So now we're not gonna have to worry about that. If we look in our search form div, we see that's completely wrapping it. It's just our menu just overflowed just that little bit too much. So our sidebar can now get in. That was the problem the whole time. I completely didn't recognize that. So we're gonna go back to our file. We're gonna make that change, and then we're never gonna think about the whole terrible drawn out experience again. Bet you guys probably spotted that ages ago. So we're gonna go to our main content and just make it 63. The reason why it's overflowing is because of padding and margin and things like that. And that's now in our CSS. So, like I said, we don't have to let it worry us anymore. next, I want, and this is the last thing we're gonna do in this tutorial. I've just decided there will be another episode just to get some of these intangibles down. The I want to sort out this meta information so it looks a bit nicer. What we're going to try is, and again this is on our single.php file, it applies to our index.php as well. We're gonna leave all this in, but just above it, just as a test, just to see what it looks like. We're gonna add in the meta, just to see if I think we can get away with the default display, because it'd be much easier if we could. Maybe I need to echo it. That didn't even run. We're gonna leave that for now. I promise this is gonna be the last thing we're gonna do, and it's gonna be to sort out this image here. I want it beside the other stuff in the space that's there. I don't want it there, and we're gonna do that by using floats again. So we're gonna find out how big this so by default this stretches all the way like any H1 does, but I reckon we could probably get away with only allowing 80% through. And the H1 is a block level element, and so is an image, so we can apply the floats to that. On second thought, there's two things, so it's better just to have one div than to have two separate floats. So I think what we're gonna do is make a div ID of site image, and that is going to contain quite obviously this site image. and then we're going to create another div. No, we're not. We're going to close that div first. You guys probably noticed it before I did. I'm working in the wrong file. I keep opening the local copy instead of the web copy. So let's go over to the web copy. It's been a long day today, so that's what my excuse is for it. Sorry about this, guys. So we are indeed now going to create another div ID. I'm going to call it name. And description, because that's what it is. Going to contain the name and the description. I'm gonna put those two things in where they need to go. So we've got two separate divs to float. Div of name and description, and a div of site image. So we'll start with site image. That probably makes the most sense. And it wants me to say the single.php file, so I'll just do that. So we're going to put this with all our header stuff. and it's going to have an idea. Site image. It's going to be floated to the right, and it's going to be equal to 20%. These are just ballpark estimates for now. So those two things have been one thing was inflated, so we're just gonna copy that. But this time it's gonna be for the name and description div. Where are we going to clear it? Because we haven't got anything to clear it based on. I'm just gonna clear it based on the header, because it's already there. So it all it contains is both elements. So it's the perfect candidate for clearing things. So we're just gonna add a class of clear. That was the point of changing that inline element to just use a standard class already defined out CSS. If we save that and refresh, okay, let's figure out where we've gone wrong. We didn't give the container a width for one thing. So the header contains them both. So we need to give it a width. Of surprise, surprise, 100%. Header width, 100. Let's see if that gets us any closer. Come over and refresh. And it didn't. I wonder if it's the way we're clearing it. I wonder if we let's just try adding another div. With class of clear to just before we close the header div. And because we've done that, that also means we can get rid of the extra class on the header element. Got to change it. That. See, guys, you can tell I'm tired. I've been shooting videos all day, and now I'm making some silly mistakes. You guys probably saw that way before I did. So we're gonna go into our CSS file, and rectify that. So our name and description is going to be floated to the left, and it's going to be 80%. Now that we know that's what caused it, we're going to try applying the clear class to the header again, because that would be a better route than having another div there. So we're gonna see if that works. Because I'm guessing that was what was causing the problem. So I think if we put the clear class on the header, it'll have the same effect and it'll be okay. We should see some significant improvement this time. Let's go over here. Refresh. And we did see an improvement. We've got our elements floated, but now that's caused its own problems with the nav bar. So let's once again put the div with the class of clear back in, because there's two elements I'm trying to clear now. Let's just clear on the clear div. See, the thing is, the issue is we need to have cleared by the time it gets down to the navigation. So, our header's working. It's just that changing our header has caused unwanted problems with the navigation. Let's see, what can we do to rectify that? Let's look back in our HTML. Well, for one thing, we know we need that div with class of clear, so let's put that back in there. Then at least we'll be a step closer. Hopefully. Yeah, and now we're working. Our page is entirely how we wanted it. I have a feeling this won't have very good browser support, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Comment down below if you've liked it. Be sure to check out the next one, the next the WordPress series, which will definitely be the final one. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to go check out my website, tom-roger.com, which is down below. As you can see by the URL up here, that's what we've been working on. So if you want to go and see the final product, be sure to check there. And we've got loads of articles to check out over here. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye.